Good afternoon, Bucknoters. Welcome into the first post-game show ever that's going on during the show, or during the game. Just messed up my intro. There you go. I mean, the Buckeyes are wrapping up a win right now. The game is still going on, and I started the show here with a couple minutes left. And Ohio State's soon-to-be win over Marshall. The Buckeyes still have the ball. They're up 49-14. Ohio State has the ball at its own 35. They'll probably just run out the clock now and win this game 49-14. Welcome to What We Learned Live. I am Dave Biddle. We'll be joined shortly by Jonah Booker. After that, it's Matt Baxendell. And after that, it's Patrick Murphy and Steve Hellwagen following post-game interviews from Ohio Stadium. Welcome into the show. Slow start for the Buckeyes. Then they turned it on. Marshall clearly, after they made it close in the first half, just wanted to try and run it out and make it look respectable. Can't blame them for that. I really liked their head coach. All that stuff that he said about transfers and biscuits, that was hilarious. I love how Ryan Day said, hey, a lot of these coaches take ourselves too seriously. He loved it. All right, let's get to what we learned. I mean, special teams, what are we doing? I joked at halftime, Jaden Fielding better not come out for the second half. I don't think he did. I think he stayed in the locker room. They had Groveport, Madison's own Austin Snyder, fifth-year senior walk-on, who transferred from Findlay out there, handling the kickoff duties after that, and the field goal and the extra point duties. Listen, I mean, it's one thing to have it happen once, happens a lot to Ohio State, maybe twice, 3 times in a row where you kick it out of bounds. What are we doing there? Brandon Ennis was really lucky. He dropped a punt that should have been a recovery for Marshall. You have Joe McGuire's punting from the 45. Marshall's 45, punts it in the end zone, 25-yard net. All right, let's get to the positive, though. I mean, I know Will Howard had the one really, a couple bad throws, but one really bad throw, obviously. Forced it. It wasn't just that he underthrew it to JJ, and I get it. Jeremiah Smith has one-on-one coverage down the field, and you've already been kind of dinking and dunking. Now let's go. I get it. But he forced it. But I get that because it's JJ. He only got one guy on him. He's wide open, right? But he did force it, and then he underthrew it. So bad. And the DB made a hell of a play. Can we give the DB some credit there? Great play by the DB to get that interception. So Will Howard made that one really bad throw. Made another bad throw as well that was incomplete. Overall, I continue to be impressed with him. Just him adding a little bit of a running threat is big for this team. He's accurate with the football most of the time. He just has to get a little sharper with the deep ball. He's just underthrowing the deep ball way too much. But, hey, they're 3-0, and now we get to finally go to the Big Ten schedule next week. 49-14 we're at the 2-minute timeout. It's not the warning. So Buckeyes going to win this game 49-14, 4th and 7. They're just going to run it out now, I bet. So if you took Ohio State to cover, you're not very happy right now because they're only going to win by 35 when they were favored by 39. So too bad they couldn't tack one more touchdown on there and make it 56-14. But it looks like it's going to be 49-14. And again, welcome into the first Ohio State post-game show ever that's happening during the game. Not technically a post-game show yet. Soon it will be. But listen, I know there's a game coming on soon. I have it on myself. I'm aware that most of you are just going to just hop off when Michigan and USC kick off here in about 10 minutes. How about have both on? Keep the buck nuts, what we learn live on, and have the USC win over Michigan on at the same time. Again, we'll hear from Jonah Booker shortly. We'll hear from Matt Baxendell. We'll hear from Patrick Murphy and Steve Hellwagen. So I thought overall, Will Howard played well. I mean, Quinshon Judkins, oh my God. And Travion Henderson looks great. And Judkins looks better than that, which is high praise. Quinshon Judkins looks like he could be a stud in the NFL right now. I love everything about him. If it's between the tackles, he can run you over at 219 pounds. He's got the shimmy. He's got the shake. He can make you miss. He's got good speed. He ran out of gas a little bit on his long run, but who cares? He finished it off, man. And there you go. And that was tied for the third longest run in Ohio State football history What else I love about that is that put him over 3,000 career rushing yards. 86-yard touchdown run, and that put him over 3,000 career rushing yards. After 2 years and 3 games, he already has over 3,000 career rushing yards. Travion Henderson will get over 3,000 rushing yards for his career next week at Michigan State. He's about 60 yards away. So the Buckeyes next week are going to have 2 guys with 3,000 career rushing yards on their team. It's insane. And we learned that, unless I'm missing something, Ohio State escaped with no injuries. I wanted to get through. Oh, you want to get through the entire season. Getting through the non-conference portion of the schedule with no major injuries is huge. You just figured there'd be 1 or 2. We'll get to your questions later. Like I see some of this today. Yeah, the left side of the offensive line looks great. Like people are going to nitpick. Oh, they started slow and this and that, and didn't cover. I mean, they barely didn't cover. They could have covered if they wanted to. They won by 35. They're favored by 39. Left side of the offensive line looks great. This offense is explosive, extremely explosive. Just like boom, 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 boom. Yeah, they need to play better defensively than what they did, particularly to open the game. I think overall the defense played well. I love Caleb Downs. I love a lot what I'm seeing out of this defense. Didn't have Tyleik Williams today. I heard a lot of people say it's interesting that Hero Kanu got the start over Caden McDonald. The thing is, though, is, Hero Kanu is actually a 3-tech. Tyleik Williams is a 3-tech. You think, wait, Tyleik's 330 pounds. He's a 3-tech? Yeah, really. I mean, you look at the starters, they consider Ty Hamilton the 1-tech, even though he's about 35 pounds lighter than Tyleik. Tyleik's the 3-tech, and then Hero's the backup 3-tech, and Caden's the backup 1-tech. Now, can those guys be interchangeable? Yes. So I kind of expected Caden to get the start today, but that's why. I still think Caden is the best of the younger defensive tackles. So taking the starters out of the mix, the usual starters, Tyleik Williams and Ty Hamilton, I think Caden McDonald's the best, but good to see Hero get his first start. I thought he held his own. I didn't think he played that great or anything, but I thought he held his own in there. Quinshawn Judkins. But yeah, I mean, Jaden Fielding, I don't know if Ryan Day is going to let him stay on the team after that. It's just special teams overall. Like, we have to, I mean, jeez. We talked about it all offseason. Very disappointing. Good to see Emeka Egbuka get his. He's the most underrated player in college football. I will say this. Can we admit this? We're all a little disappointed in the defense, myself included. Can we admit that Marshall's quarterback was actually pretty good? There's a couple times I was like, oh, he's got nothing there, and he dropped a dime in there, and he was running the ball a little bit. Not that he's like Michael Vick out there. I thought Stone Earl was a little better than I expected. Made some nice throws. So give them a little bit of credit. Give Jonah Booker a lot of credit. Let's bring him right in. Jay Book, good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you. How are you?
Good, man. So what's your main takeaway? You a little upset? You happy? Somewhere in between? Where are you at?
I just take it as this team was very rusty coming out of the bye, Dave. Offense put up over 550 yards, 49 points, covered their 45.5-point team total that Vegas set for them. Didn't cover the spread here. I thought they were very sluggish, didn't play sharp early on in the game. And that just kind of tells you how good this team could be, Dave, when they play sluggish and still put up almost 600 yards offense. The defense, I thought, had an off day here. We didn't get a lot of pressure from the defensive line. I think it's going to be a point, David. If the status quo continues, there needs to be an uncomfortable conversation about JT and Caden Curry. Because right now, so far after 3 games, I think Caden Curry is probably been playing the second best behind Jack Sawyer when it comes to the defensive ends. Quarterback play, Will Howard had a couple ducks here and there, but overall very solid. The one thing I have to say about the offensive line, Dave, I thought the offensive line, especially when it came to the run game, they were definitely on point today. Very impressed with the offensive line when it comes to the run games. Josh Fryer still needs to continue to get a little bit better, but it's really good to see Donovan Jackson in there. I thought he looked great coming out the gate, but my goodness, this Coach Lachlan have these running backs. Those guys are playing like their hair is absolutely on fire. Love the way the running backs are toting the rock right now.
Hey, defensively, one thing that was disappointing to me, I get they came out. No one's expecting this guy to run the ball. Get a couple of, QB keep. Okay, whatever. Didn't seem like they adjusted fast enough. And like, man, when they play, I don't know how many like great running quarterbacks are going to play. This guy, Stone Earl, is not like a great running quarterback, but he was so effective. And it didn't seem like Knowles adjusted fast enough. Was that your take?
No, the defense looked very bland, very basic, Dave. Definitely an off day from the defensive backs. I thought that little slot guy was giving them all types of trouble. Sonny Styles was up and down. I thought he really struggled those first 2 quarters. Picked it up a little bit more as the game progressed there. But overall, as a defense, I give them a C minus. I mean, you did hold them to 14 points. Obviously, you want to be able to shut a team like Marshall out. But yeah, definitely a C minus performance from the defense there. A lot of room to get better. You're not going to be able to start that way once you get into Big Ten play. So I'm curious to see how this team bounced back, Dave, because we look at that week 2 game. They started on fire that first game and finished strong this game. And we've seen a history and the trend of it. A Ryan Day team coming after a bye usually starts very sluggish, but I was very surprised how sloppy they were. I mean, my goodness, can we get someone who can kick the ball without kicking it out of bounds, man? Like, that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Did Parker Fleming sneak in during this week or something and start helping out as an analyst?
That's the thing, man. I was like, I didn't think I could get worse, and it was better like the first couple of weeks. And I'm like, geez, I was saying the same thing. Like, did Parker Fleming, did he get rehired? And by the way, I want to give a shout out to Buckeye fan 1818. I almost didn't, even though I said, but I told him I'd give him I would give him a shout out on the show, because last night he tweeted, we're talking about like predictions for the game today, and he was like, yeah, Buckeyes will come out slow. Marshall will score 17 points. So I'm like, 17 points against this defense? Like, just kind of blowing them off, And I know they didn't score 17, but he was right. They did come out slow off a bye. So shout out to him for that. Michigan gets a 4th down, 4th and inches. They get it on their opening drive. Okay. But yeah, man, I don't know. Do we think Jaden Fielding is in big trouble now? They might go with Groveport's own Austin Snyder. They transfer from Findlay.
He should be in trouble, Dave. You have one job as a specialist. While the offense and defense are practicing, you're over there just kicking all day. That's what you do. That's your job. That can cost you a game. I mean, luckily it was against Marshall, but if you're doing that at Oregon and you're giving them that type of field position off of mental mistakes like that, that can cost you a football game. So I don't know if this kid had the yips or what the heck is going on with him, but you definitely cannot have your specialist putting your defense in that type of situation. So hopefully they can figure it out. But that was embarrassing. I mean, three in a row, like, it has to be a mental situation. Hopefully that kid can get right.
I like fiery Ryan Day.
Yeah.
I don't like Ryan Day getting 15-yard penalties, but I like fiery Ryan Day. So take the good with the bad. Overall, I like it.
Yep, I like Dave. Dave, I love the way he was getting after the referees out there, and we talked about that this week. He's been really coaching this butt off, and man, and the team feeds off that, Dave. Once your head coach is out there just getting after it, the team feeds on that type of personality. But he was getting after that kicker after that third one. He didn't want to come to the sideline to see Coach Dave. He tried to blame the wind or something like that, and Coach Dave's looking around like, what are you talking about? There's no wind inside the stadium. But I will say this, Dave.
It was the wind on the 90-degree day.
Yeah, I will say this. Joe Klatt wore me down today, man. He was just negative Nancy. He absolutely just wore me down. Like, I don't know if it's because he's been, loving up on Michigan so much lately that it's starting to irk me. But his whole commentating throughout the game, I had to mute it, man, and throw on some Paul Keels just to listen to the game in the background noise. Like, I was wore out with him. I usually love the big noon guys, but lately, Joe Klatt, he has just become too much.
Michigan about to punt. They punt. So they had one first down, and then USC held them. Michigan punts. And it goes, does it go into the end zone or is it out of bounds? Oh, no, good punt. Inside the 10. So we'll keep guys updated on that. Let's get you out of here on this. What'd you make it right guard? Tegra, of course, got the start.
Yeah.
Austin Cyberveld was rotating in there. They kind of rotated on and off. What'd you make it right guard?
Yeah, I thought they, for the most part, those guys were solid, Dave. You really didn't see a whole lot. And I think it's critical that you do try to rotate those guys because they're both gaining valuable reps here. With Tegra and Jackson, I thought those guys were getting their combo blocking down to very precise early on there. And you definitely want to continue that development of Austin Saraville because if you're viewing him as your sixth offensive lineman, definitely get him in there to develop his game. You don't want him to take a step back. I really wish that they can find a third tackle, Dave, because that will be critical. Because when Josh Fryer at times needs to come to the sidelines and just watch for a little bit, even if it's a play, 5 plays, 6 plays, but they don't have a third tackle that they trust that they can throw in there in critical moments like that. So I do hope that they can continue to develop that. But how about Jeremiah Smith, Dave? Like it's a quiet game, and he's still putting up numbers. It was a quiet game for him, but really glad to see Emeka Egbuka have his 100-yard breakout game. I definitely want to see him continue to inch closer to breaking that Ohio State receiver record.
Man, life is good. You beat Marshall, who looks like at least a solid team, 49-14. You take the foot off the gas. You probably could have made it 56-14 if you wanted. And probably most people are going to be like, they didn't look very good. I mean, I didn't think they looked good at times either. But, yeah, this team is stacked. And, hey, they're 3-0. Now they go in the Big Ten play. Really appreciate you taking time to join me, my friend.
Before I hop off here, Dave, I got to ask you.
Yes, sir.
So Julian Sane be the number 2?
Yes, you know how I feel about that.
We've seen enough. I mean, Devin Brown's a good kid, man, but I think we've seen enough here.
I know loyal listener Hollywood Hager agrees with you. One more thing. I know we're going to hear from Bax in a moment. Yeah. One more thing. I keep lying to you. Dude, I mean, we talk about Quinshon Judkins. First of all, looks like the best running back in the country. I mean, there's some really, really good running backs out there, like the kid from Oklahoma State, Ollie Gordon, and others. Judkins might be the best. He's so damn good.
Oh, man.
He went over 3,000 yards career today, right? Travion's now like 60 yards away from going over 3,000 yards. Dude, tomorrow, like next week at Michigan State, Ohio State's going to have 2 running backs on the field, assuming Travion at one point gets 60 yards in that game, which I know I'm going out on a limb here. I bet he will. They're going to have 2 running backs on the field who have 3,000 career rushing yards. That's insane.
Yeah. The one thing that really impressed me about Judkins, Dave, is his vision, his patience on that run that he broke off. I mean, if you go back and watch it, just watch his vision. And Travion Henderson, he is getting a lot better with his vision as well. You remember early on under Tony Alford, Trey would just run up the back of the guard, and that was it. 2-yard gain, back to the huddle. Now you're starting to see Trey use that vision to say, hey, I can bounce it outside. Those two feeding off each other is beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. I couldn't be more impressed with the way the running backs are running right now. But Carlos Lachlan, excellent job. He looks like he's a home run hire so far. I mean, he has these running backs. Even James Peoples got in there and ran through somebody's face. Just the way that those running backs are hitting those holes, the vision, the jump cut ability, that right there is something that you can't necessarily stop if you're a team that's trying to stop this offense without bringing the safeties up. So totally impressed with the running backs right now. Carlos Lachlan, hey man, and he's in contact with Marquise Davis, the Kentucky commit. So if he can pull that one out of the hat, hey, give Lachlan his flowers for this year, man, because a heck of a job by him so far.
Heck of a job by you as always. Thank you, Jay Book.
All right. Talk to you next week, buddy.
Thanks, man.
Yep.
Appreciate hearing from Jay Book. Let's bring Matt Baxendell in. USC struggling here to move the ball. 3rd and 13 for the Trojans, deep in their own territory.
Yeah, they just dropped the first down bids. They're going to run it up the middle and get like 1 yard. It's going to be brutal.
They took a big chance. Miller Moss avoids the safety, and they, as you said, they dropped the pass for the first.
I still think USC is going to win this game.
Oh, I think USC is going to win. I hope they cover too.
I think they win by double digits. That's just
they go conservative here on 3rd down and get stuffed at the 1 yard line. Michigan's defense is playing. Michigan's defense came to play. All right. Ohio State did not come to play early, but Marshall had a good plan. Your main takeaway from this game?
It was a very milquetoast kind of day, Dave. This is the last of the non-conference games where I'll be quite frank. I know a lot of people wanted to see more of this or that. At the end of the day, Ohio State was busy just not showing their hand. Was kind of how I saw it. To me, this is a game where, let's not overreact about a game we won by, 5 touchdowns? At the end of the day, what did they do fancy? Did they blitz more than twice the whole game defensively? It seemed like they rolled their guys out and said, let's be good on good. Let's see how we do. And they won. So I don't really have a lot of issues with this. I know there's some people melting down on Twitter. I've been getting text messages from friends. Oh, God, we're going to have to win 42-35 in the Natty, all this other stuff. Let's relax here, guys. Let's relax.
Yeah, I think, overall, the defense, I didn't like how they did not adjust to the quarterback run. That was one thing that was disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
I was after the 2nd or 3rd QB run, I would have been like, all right, well, you're not doing that anymore. You might do something else, but we're not letting you do that anymore. And they let them do it several more times before they finally adjusted. If they ever, I guess they didn't really adjust. They just finally knocked the quarterback out of the game. I guess that might be considered adjusting. I don't know.
But even the backup came in, and it was the most obvious quarterback run on 3rd and 2 or 3 that I've ever seen. And of course he ran it. I'm sitting here watching the game with a couple folks, and I'm like, Dan, this is going to be a QB run. And he's like, no. I'm like, yes. And boom, 5 yards. So, but again, Ohio State was, to me, very obviously trying to do everything possible out of a base set on D. They didn't do almost anything more than just go out in the field, line up, know we have better players, assume it's going to be good enough. So I'm not going to freak out about anything related to a game you win 49-14. You know what I mean? Marshall came out, threw a bunch of stuff at him early. They got a score on the first drive, and the reality is Twitter gets a lot more mad every time when Ohio State doesn't cover. If we're just being real honest, they didn't in this game. So I'm not too worried about it at this point. I think that anybody who wants to take anything out of this game more than we were better than Marshall, now let's get to real football, is probably overanalyzing the situation.
Okay, special teams. Geez. Go.
Well, Jaden Fielding got benched. So, that's the – I don't know the last time we saw that happen. We had walk-ons kicking extra points and kickoffs at this point.
Yep. From Groveport. Yep.
But, the reality is, I thought initially, the first time I'm like, all right, we're trying that corner kick thing. Remember Urban wanted us to put it in that little third of the field all the time. And the second time we did it, I'm like, what the hell's going on? And the third time, I'm like, are we trying to do this? It's overcomplicating things. Just kick it through the end zone. It's like on punt returns, man. Just catch the ball. That's all you need. Which, thank God that Brandon Ennis got bailed out, or this would have been a lot more interesting game.
Jeez, that was so lucky.
That's the turning point of the whole game, Dave, was whenever they called a procedure penalty on Marshall when Ennis just dropped the punt. And you've known me for a decade. What's the one thing I give a crap about in punt returns? Secure the catch. We have a great offense. We're going to score almost every time we get it for a decade. So why are we doing anything more than just securing the catch? That drove me nuts. And then Q Judkins runs 86 yards the other way. And that was when it kind of ended for Marshall's hopes.
Yeah, and I can get to this later too. But I agree. I meant this one. The targeting was the classic spirit versus the letter of the law. Yeah, letter of the law. Good call. This is why they got to change the law.
It's the worst rule in sports.
If you're trying to headhunt, if you're launching, you're trying to hurt guys, different. You're trying to block a pass, bat a pass down, and at the last second you hit your head. It was.
They made face-to-face contact. They made face-to-face contact.
You eject somebody from think about any other sport, what you have to do to get ejected.
Yeah, you have to fight someone.
In football, you can have right. You can have in hockey, you wouldn't even get ejected for having a fist fight.
No, it's just a 5-minute major, and then you high five the guy in the box.
Hockey's awesome. Football, you can get freaking ejected for incidental contact. It's unbelievable. And like we should have, it's be very easy. We had for years with the punt, it's either, roughing the punter or 5 yards. And I think I get it confused. Sometimes in college we still have that, pros we don't. My point is we can make it subjective. We definitely can. It's very easy to tell if it's headhunting or if it's just – go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
There should be remember back in the day, there used to be a 5-yard face mask penalty where like your hand caught it, but it didn't change the play. And then like the grasping was 15.
That's what I was thinking.
There should be a 5-yard like targeting warning.
Yes.
Right. And here's the reality is both you and I can understand intent. When a guy's using his head as a missile coming at you, okay, that's a target. But like if a guy catches a ball up high, then he's coming down and the guy's trying to tackle you. When you start your tackle, the guy's above your head and then his face is at eye level as you're hitting him. That's not targeting. That's football. So it's the worst rule in any sport. And like I have thought about this for a long time. I cannot think of a worse rule in any sport other than targeting.
Any sport. And again, if it was targeting like the spirit of the rule, great. We're all in favor of that. We don't want people coming out there head hunting, trying to decapitate dudes out there. That's not what we're talking about, though. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. It's one of the worst.
On the field against Michigan. Michigan's position, 3 and out.
They're going to punt. Yep.
3 and out.
Well, Dave, they put Origi in at quarterback for one reason, is that their decision point was we're going to run the football because that's all we have. They don't have the receivers to make plays, so they aren't really worried about being anything more than, man ball smash team. And then they just punted it through the end zone, by the way. But they are
good.
They're not good. USC is going to win this game by 2 touchdowns. Michigan does not have an offense. They want to run the ball, but they don't have a big boy offensive line either.
And they've started the game actually stronger than what I expected, and they've done nothing with it. And as you mentioned, they punted through the end zone there. So now USC gets the ball to 20. After Michigan actually had a pretty good start, they have nothing to show for it. So if you're out
Miller Moss is going to walk right down the field.
Talking Ohio State football. If you're watching the Michigan USC game, which I'm sure many of you are, we can do both. We have a USC-Michigan watch party. Go Trojans. And we can talk Ohio State football. Quinshon Judkins, my goodness gracious, dude. And Travion looks fantastic, and Quinshon looks better. It's unbelievable. Quinshon Judkins looks like the best running back in the country to me.
So here's the thing about Quinn. He finishes runs. This was a conversation I was having watching the game, is that we've had some running backs who get these long runs and then get tackled inside the 5. He finishes them. He has that extra gear. And the reality is I have to think that he is the hardest running tailback we've had since Zeke. I like just watching him run. There's significant just oomph in his stride. He looks like he runs like mad or desperate, right? And I honestly think a little bit that's rubbed off on Henderson, because Henderson's always been an unbelievable athlete that you kind of wondered a little bit about durability, how he can run through like a play where it's not a home run. That second touchdown from Henderson was a little dog in him too. And I'm like, wow. So Judkins is a tone setter, man. I mean, right now, to me, he's the offensive MVP of this whole team.
Yeah, let's get to this too. I'll get you just a few more, then I'll get you out of here. I can just answer some questions. Yeah, the field's a mess, man. The field's a mess. And I know it's below like the floodplain, so they can't grow grass. Or maybe they could, but it wouldn't be ideal. Nothing's worse than whatever they have right now. If they're doing it for cost reasons, that's ridiculous. Dudes are out there. Now, it was really hurt Marshall more than it hurt Ohio State today.
Yeah.
But the field is a freaking mess. What are we doing?
I think that, the conversation about heat, and it's a 90-degree day on September 21st in Central Ohio. So our California summer continues here. That's for sure. But I've always been a bigger fan of natural grass. I remember we had natural grass for a long time in the Horseshoe. And everybody remembers 2006 where OSU had a turnover against Michigan because the ball was snapped into a seam in the turf. And it rolled back to Troy and we lost it. So I know everybody didn't want to have the grass anymore, but yeah, it seemed to me like there were some slips today. I don't know if we didn't get the right length turf, but I mean, I cannot imagine Ohio State sparing at any expense related to the field. So
cheap carpet is right. All right, a couple more. We'll get you out of here. Injury free, right? I mean, I was worried at first. I'm like, wait a minute, tell me Tegra and Austin Cyberveld are just rotating, and they were. Tegra didn't get hurt. Here we go, man. We're 25% of the way through the regular season. I think Tyleek Williams was precautionary. I'm really happy with the health status. Long way to go. But get through the non-conference slate with no major injuries. I'm thrilled about that.
Let me ask you something here, Dave. Do you think we left the starters in too long in this game?
Well, if you ask the coaches, they're like, well, if you guys would have played better, we wouldn't have had to leave you in that long. No, I would have taken them out one series before. So thank goodness nothing happened. But, like, listen, you're sitting there in the second half. You're only up 28-14 at halftime.
But when we got to 42-14, I was sitting there thinking, it's over. Like, why are we putting our starters in at this point? Like, to me, that was a good time to get the backups in. It made me nervous. And I'm not saying it necessarily was wrong, because I think Ryan Day wanted to see better execution than that. But yes, there's a significant missed face mask there on Michigan on a sack on USC.
Michigan's defense is getting after. Yeah, but that USC's left tackle can't be a freaking matador, though. Like, what is
No, that was a terrible block there. I would agree.
Like, what is he doing? I don't even know if that was a face mask.
Michigan has a good D-line, Dave, and that's the only strength on that team this year.
That's true.
Like looking at them, their offense is weak, right? Their D-line is excellent. I mean, that's the reality.
A screen pass on 3rd and 14 and loses a yard.
Tells you what they think about their ability to protect their quarterback.
Michigan's defense came to play. All this Lincoln Riley's genius of an offensive mind. Better start showing it. Anyway.
Whoa, USC as a punter. He almost punted the ball over that guy's head.
He did the first time, too.
Yeah.
And the dude took a knee. Wow. The dude took a knee and then got up and ran for a while and then got hurt.
Wow.
We're just going to sit here and this is going to become like a USC-Michigan watch.
It's just going to become you and me yelling at Michigan.
About ready to go to commercial. Oh, gosh. Well, he got a nice little return out of that. All right. Well, here, I'll let you get out of here. I'll let you watch this game. Any final thoughts before I let you out of here?
I think everybody needs to not really read too much into this game. Look, the reality is Ohio State won by 5 touchdowns. Everybody came out of it healthy. We're getting into real games. And if you look at the next stretch of the year, Michigan State's undefeated. Iowa's good. At Oregon, Nebraska's a decent team. They're better than I think a lot of people thought, though. They're about what I expected. And then you got Penn State. These next 5 games are going to really be your key to the year, because then after that, you got 3 games you should win before the big finish against Michigan. So I'm glad we're at where we're at. It's about all we could have asked for up to this point in the year. And, at the end of the day, I think Ohio State ran and passed for nearly 300 yards each. So, that's not a bad day. So I think a lot of people are maybe overreacting to what was a very baseline play calling performance from Ohio State on both sides of the ball. It's a really good football team, guys, and we won by 5 touchdowns. I'm not going to read any further into it than that.
Good stuff, Bax. Appreciate it, man.
Hey, go Bucks. We'll see you guys soon.
Go Bucks. Go Trojans. All right, Matt Baxendell. We're going to hear from Steve Hellwagen and Patrick Murphy. Probably not in that order. Probably Patrick, then Steve. Post-game press conference going on right now. Again, if you're just joining the show, this is the first Ohio State post-game show that started during the game. I started it during the game. I couldn't believe how long the game was going. I know everybody wants to watch USC-Michigan, as we're doing together here on the show. But, man, I mean, these officials, I guess that was one thing you guys probably weren't upset with Klatt about. At least he was calling out the officials taking forever for no reason. Like, there were calls that were clear as day, and they're sitting there taking 10 minutes to decipher it. It's like, what are you guys doing? I guess you could say at least they got it right, which we're not used to replay officials doing. But what are they doing taking this long? That game should have been over no later than 3:15. No later than 3:15. I started this show at 3:30. The game was still going on. So, yeah, the rare post-game show that starts during the game. Jesus. Unbelievable. All right, let's get to some of your questions and comments that I have starred here. Hollywood Hagger on YouTube. I'm really upset with Jim Knowles' lack of adjustments. Yeah, I wonder if it was I want to be maybe glass half full and say, well, if it was a big game, as he and they like to say, if it was a matchup game that they would have adjusted more. I think they just felt like they could just overwhelm them. But I did not like the fact that they were out there with that quarterback run, and it took Ohio State seemingly forever to adjust to that. I don't know if they ever adjusted to it. unless you consider knocking the starting quarterback out of the game, adjusting to it. I'm with you. I thought Jim Knowles, I'm a Jim Knowles fan. I did not like what I saw overall today. I thought he did not do a good job of adjusting, particularly to that QB run. You could tell that was going to be a huge – they did it twice on the first drive. You're like, okay, this is going to be like one of their staples. It reminded me of – you came out there, Buckeyes in the national championship game against Miami in 2002, and Krenzel was out there doing QB draws like way more than he ever did. Like, oh, you can tell this is going to be a staple. So you've got to be able to recognize that as a D coordinator. Hopefully in a big game he would. Larry on YouTube. He says, I think Arvell Reese should be the starting will linebacker. Sonny Styles played poorly. Arvell does look really, really good to me. And I thought Sonny had some good plays today, but then had some missed tackles. Overall, I do think Arvell Reese has played better, but he's had less snaps. If Arvell got as many snaps as Sonny, why he missed some of those plays, I don't know, but I'm with you, man. I mean, Arvell Reese looks great. He looks great. Yeah, yeah. Sonny's got all the skills in the world. He's a great young man. Great young man. Yeah, I'm with you guys. Can't argue with anything you just said there. Here we go to our watch party for Michigan. Does Orji actually complete a pass here? No. He overthrows it by – it wasn't terribly overthrown. It was tight end, about 3 yards overthrown. We'll see. Still 0-0 first quarter, USC-Michigan. 4:45 left. I hope you guys took the under. Maybe USC to cover plus the under if you're into a two same-game parlay. Get to some more of your questions and comments here. Willis Styles, what's up with – oh, we already talked about that. Yeah, the turf is just a mess, man. I don't know. I was yelling about it because – and they've known about this, so I don't know why they didn't address this. This was a problem last year. The players were talking about it. There's been injuries last 2 years. I don't know why they didn't address this. I mean, they're talking – there's all this stuff about – I mean, for a number of reasons. It looks terrible. It's embarrassing. Number one should be player safety. And I don't put this on Ross Bjork. He took over really at July 1st, but should be something on his agenda. And I know there's a million things they want to get done at Ohio Stadium. That should be near the top of the list. You can't have a field that's like a freaking slip and slide out there. Wait till an Ohio State star player tears an ACL because of that. All right, 3rd and 10, Michigan. They're on 36. They throw a screen pass. And it works. They get a first down out of it. That's the old USC defense right there. 3rd and 10, you throw a screen pass. Or maybe he was a yard short. They got lucky if he is. I won't be surprised if Michigan goes for it. It's less than a yard. You can't let that happen. Yeah, he might be just. Are they gonna punt? What's born on third base got picked off Sharon Moore gonna do here? Is he gonna go for it? He is gonna go for it. At least they're lining up to go. I bet they will go for it. I don't think they're faking this. Yep, they go for it. And they might have got stuffed. Nope, they got it. They barely got it. They barely got it. Oh, well. 4th down. Travis, I love JT, but Caden Curry should be starting. When he's in there, he's making plays. Yeah, but he gets ejected too much. I'm kidding. He should not have gotten ejected. That's ridiculous. My gosh. I don't want to go on a tangent about that. Again, but I think this deserves repeating. We all watch different sports than football. Think about what it takes to get ejected in other sports or even to get ejected in football other than targeting. You have to, throw a punch or something. Uh-oh. Touchdown, Michigan. Not good. Mullings, long touchdown run. Yeah, I guess I should have figured that USC's defense was still a fraud. Oh, well. Long way to go. But, geez. Disappointing. USC. Lincoln Riley could not field a good defense to save his life. I mean, LSU's not good. I think everybody, myself included, was like, oh, USC beat LSU. That's impressive. Is it? So we'll see. But, yeah, I like Caden Curry as well. And that call was just absolute garbage. Absolute hot garbage. So, all right, Wolverines with the early touchdown. They go up 7-0 with 3 minutes left in the first quarter. I'm surprised. I thought USC would take it to them. Not, as I said all week, I don't think it was going to be a blowout, but I thought USC would win by double digits. Now, I don't know. Michigan looks more physical. Maybe they brought Connor Stallions back for this game. They look good. Maybe USC is just what we thought they were to begin the year. Yeah, Mullings is definitely better than the Don. Mullings is clearly better than Donovan Edwards. And Donovan Edwards used to be good. I don't know what's happened to him. He just doesn't look good. Didn't look that good to me last year either, but he definitely looks better than this. A lot of questions about the number 2 quarterback. Jesse on Facebook. Do you trust Devin as the number 2 quarterback? Jesse says, I do not. No, and I really think that if something, God forbid, happened to Will Howard and Ohio State's going into a big game, I think Julian Sand would start the game. I think Ryan Day knows it. Ryan Day knows his starting quarterback next year is Julian Sand, in my opinion. So, yeah, let's see. Let's check in with our guys and see how close we are. I'm curious what was said at postgame presser. Again, I think one thing we learn that's huge is just no injuries that I am aware of. I mean, Tyleek missed the game, but hopefully it's nothing serious. I think that's probably was a precautionary thing. That's one thing I want to hear from Patrick and Steve when they join the show. Michigan up 7-0 over USC. USC ball at the 25, 3 minutes left in the first quarter. Still very early, but didn't see this coming. Yeah. USC is a fraud. Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. It's still early. I still think Miller Moss is a good quarterback, and Michigan's offense is lacking. They barely got the first down on fourth down, then they got the long run. So we'll see. And they keep getting – Michigan's just dominated the field position battle. So we'll see if USC can turn that around. If USC can just get a little momentum, I still think USC is going to roll, meaning win by 10. But they better get some confidence going here. You don't want to let Michigan get up like 10-0 and think they can just grind it out. So if USC can get something going here, I mean, their field position has been a disaster. For them to have the ball at the 25 is like fantastic field position for them. So USC with 8 yards on first down, 2nd and 2. So, I'm encouraged about this team. Yeah, I mean, they started slow. Look the way they looked in the second half. I mean, Ohio State looks like a dominant force. And there was some lucky stuff that went Marshall's way in that first half. I mean, the fumble that barely went out of bounds. And by the way, why did they review that for 10 minutes? It was clear Ohio State was out of bounds, and they didn't even recover it anyway. But still, kind of a lucky bounce there for Marshall. And then there was the one that was like, looked like it almost should have been like an interception for IGB, kind of, ricocheted off them like a little pinball machine there between the receiver and the DB. They both held on to it. Tie goes to the receivers, we know. You have to rip it away Maurice Claret style for it to go to you. So that was kind of lucky as well. But still, they have to play better than that. You can't let this – I mean, again, I thought Marshall's quarterback early made some nice throws. Stone Earl, I thought he was very poised, made some good runs, but you can't let that guy run that much early on you. They're gonna face exponentially better offenses and quarterbacks than that. So that was disappointing. There's no doubt about it. We can't keep – oh, geez. USC is just getting smoked. It was 3rd and 1. And if anything, they lost a half yard. Mason Graham just came in there and just destroyed the running back. So now USC goes 3 and out. They get 8 yards on first down, 1 yard, and then maybe lose a yard. Or they just get stoned on 3rd down. Now they're punting. USC looks awful. They must have been listening to people like me all week saying Michigan's terrible and like USC's going to go in there and beat them by double digits. USC looks terrible on both sides of the ball. One of their guys is hurt going to the locker room. Looks like he's got like a broken collarbone or shoulder the way he's holding that. Hey, great start for Michigan. Almost end of the first quarter. They're going to have the ball at their own 21, up 7-0 with 1 minute left. So hopefully we hear from Patrick and Steve pretty soon. So good to see Emeka Egbuka do what he did today. He's so overshadowed. I mentioned this earlier in the show. He might be the most underrated player in college football, Emeka Egbuka. And the left side of the offensive line, my gosh, Josh Simmons, having Donovan Jackson back was huge. Seth McLaughlin, obviously center, but we're going to include him. He's half the left side. Half of him is the left side. That left side of the offensive line is tremendous. They were just opening up huge holes, and even when there wasn't a lot there, Quinshawn and Travion were taking advantage. So, yeah, USC looks terrible. It's early. Maybe they can flip the field position now, but Michigan's going to close this first quarter out leading 7-0 with the ball. Oh, I thought Tegra did start and then Cyberveld went in. Did I miss that? Maybe it was the other way around. Maybe Cyberveld did start. I don't know. They were just rotating. Boom, 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 boom. So you could have that right. I need to go back. Yeah, he did start. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought Tegra started and then Austin rotated in. Thank you. I can see how that's confusing because it was like the second. Yeah, the left side was great. Kyle on Facebook. Yeah, it's confusing because the second series, I think Austin was in there at right guard. So I might think, oh, wow, he's starting, right? No, I think they just decided because Austin played well. Not as well as Donovan Jackson would have, but played well those first two games. They wanted to, get him in there and get him reps. So Austin and it's good competition. So Tegra knows there's someone right on you. Even though you won that battle over Carson Hinsman, now that we got Austin, who has 2 starts under his belt, who's going to push you for that right guard job. That just keeps that competitive excellence going that they love to talk about. So, so Tegra got the start, but they were just rotating. There we go. How did we some people have asked about Jeffrey on YouTube. I've had a lot of people ask about it. How did we let Alabama take Miami of Ohio's kicker out of our own backyard? I don't know. I think they believed in Jaden Fielding. I know you wanted to steal Miami's kicker so Chuck Martin could yell at you, right? Exactly. Alabama stole our kicker. Like, how can we didn't steal your kicker? Let's see what we're dealing with my boys. Okay, cool. They think there's about 5 minutes left in the press conference. Will Howard is the last one to take the stand, take the podium. Needs Sand to start. There's somebody in the chat saying we need Sand to start. No, Sand is the backup. We're going to go with that, number 2. We're not jumping him from third to – we're going to bench Will Howard now. Come on. So, yeah, I think they should have gotten the kicker from Miami. That would have been nice. And I don't know, maybe they did go after him. I don't think they did, though. I never heard that they did. I'd need to check for sure with Bill Kurlick. But, man, I tell you what. Special teams, I didn't think were great the first 2 weeks, but I thought that was noticeably improved. So they took a huge step back this week. And I'm curious what Coach Day said about that at the postgame presser. I'm curious what he says about Tyleek. He's not going to say anything about backup quarterback. He's not going to be like, yep, no, Devin didn't look good. Even it was garbage time. We're going to make Julian the backup. He's not going to get into that. But I'm sure he was asked about special teams. I'm sure he was asked about Tyleek. No, Brown didn't look good. No, I'm agreeing with that. I was talking about the guy that was like they wanted Sand to start over Will Howard. I agree Sand is better than Devin Brown. And I think I'm pretty sure Ryan Day agrees with that too, that Julian Sand is his second best quarterback and that Julian Sand is going to be a starting quarterback next year. No doubt about that, in my opinion. Let's keep it rolling here. We'll hear from my guys after the postgame presser here shortly. Brian on Facebook, is there any concern that Marshall seemed to run easily against us when they spread the field? Yes. And Marshall's not supposed to have a really good offensive line or a tremendous rushing attack. This will be the third worst team Ohio State plays all year, other than the first 2. Those are the 2 worst. This will be the third worst. Maybe they're about equal with Northwestern and Purdue. I don't know. Probably they're a little step behind them, and they were able to run the ball pretty well against Ohio State. That is a concern. Yeah, you could say, well, Tyleik Williams wasn't in there. Okay. We're not talking about they weren't playing like Penn State or, Oregon. They're playing Marshall. You should be able to just do what you normally do with Tyleik Williams even missing the game. As great as Tyleik is, Tyleik's a fantastic player. I won't be surprised if Tyleik's a first round. He should be a first-round pick. I'll be surprised if he's not. At the least, he'll be a second-round pick. I really like Tyleik Williams a lot. I thought Caden McDonald should have got the start. I know that's starting 2 1-techs since Ty Hamilton is technically a 1-tech. But even at 295, you think probably think Ty's the 3-tech and not the 1-tech. No, it's the other way. Tyleik's the 3-tech. So that's why they did that. Hero is the backup 3-tech. But I just think Caden McDonald's a better player. I just didn't see – Hero played solid today. I just didn't see him get the push that I see McDonald get majority of the time. Tell you what, Michigan just keeps moving the ball. 2 first downs just like that. Run the ball, first down. Orji keeps the ball, first down. USC is clueless. What do you think Orji was going to do? Come out here and be like Peyton Manning throwing the ball around? Of course he's going to run the ball. It's like facing a service academy and coming out here in like a dime defense or something. One thing about Lincoln Riley that doesn't change, he has no idea to field a competent defense. And people were giving him like a lot of props after that LSU game. LSU's not good. And they barely won that game. It wasn't like they blew out LSU. Jeez. Terrible. Buckeyes need to tackle better defensively. And I know it's tough if you're a coach. You don't want to get your guys like banged up in camp. I get that. But like there's got to be a happy medium between we're not going to tackle at all and we're going to go like it's, Junction Boys with Bear Bryant, back in the day. It's like there's a happy medium. You need to practice something to be good at it. Find me something in sports you can be really good at and not practice. There's nothing. And thudding up is not the same as tackling. That's why, they look pretty good at thudding up and then the guy breaks the tackle. Like, how about actual tackle in practice? Chris Ash told us they were tackling the day before the national championship game in 2014, early 2015, but the 2014 season. They were doing the rugby tackling. They were tackling the day before the national championship game, tackling to the ground. And guess who had the least amount of missed tackles in college football in 2014? The Ohio State Buckeyes. So we're seeing way too many missed tackles. And I attribute that to not practicing tackling. It'd be like, well, how come they're not good at throwing the ball? Well, they never really throw it in practice. Wait, what? It'd be insane, right? You have to practice tackling. And I know it can be dangerous, but you have to do it. Have to do it, in my opinion. USC stops Michigan on 3rd down. Looks like Michigan will punt right around midfield. All right. We have somebody, Luke, saying USC's fan base should be very concerned with the refs so far. I haven't noticed anything about that. I just have the game on over here in the background. Listen, what I've seen so far is USC getting pushed around, though. I don't know. Maybe there has been some shaky calls. Wouldn't shock me. If you're like an official, how would you have any like sympathy? Unless I guess it is in Ann Arbor, so you never know where these guys are from. If you're an official, how would you have any sympathy for Michigan? Like, wouldn't like cheating piss you off as an official? If you're a neutral official, you didn't care either way, and you hear all this, now more information comes out, you're seeing what you're seeing. Wouldn't that, if anything, make you biased the other way? Hopefully, there's just none of that, and it's just right down the middle. But like, geez, you would think like an official, if anything, would be like, screw these guys, and their head coach obviously knew, not just Harbaugh, but Sharon Moore. There's this kid on the sidelines just talking to the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator before every play. It's like, come on. All right. I think Patrick and Steve are just getting food. I don't know what they're doing. No, I'm kidding. We'll hear from them soon. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, I really think you got to practice tackling. I don't know what you guys think about that. And again, I'm not saying you got to go out there and practice tackling for like an hour. There should be tackling drills. Certainly in camp. I almost get it during the season, but like, I just don't understand how you can expect to be good at tackling and not practice tackling. Again, thudding is not tackling. Tackling is tackling. The Chris Ash example, can't go back to that enough. They were tackling to the ground the day before the national championship game. And they had the least amount of missed tackles in the country that year. That should be the blueprint. Special teams, so frustrating, especially after all the talk all offseason. And I do like and maybe it was a one-game aberration because they were not shaky the first 2 weeks. A little bit with Jaden Ballard at kick returner, but they replaced him. Maybe they'll have to get Mylan Graham back there now. I thought Mylan Graham might get a chance because Brandon Innes dropped that. Jeez. Actually, that was a punt that he dropped. And I thought Brandon Innes was looking really good as the punt returner for the first 2 weeks. Let's hope it was a one-game aberration with the return game and with Jaden Fielding and all that. But, man, disappointing how bad they were on special teams the last 3 years. Coming into this year, we're thinking they're going to be much improved. Looked a little bit improved the first 2 weeks, and they took a huge step back today. So that's disappointing for sure. But again, though, they win 49-14, and like we're myself included, I'm guilty as charged, talking about a lot of the negative stuff. I mean, Quinshon Judkins looks like the best running back in the country. We learned this offense is extremely explosive. We continue to learn that. And it's not just throwing the ball way down the field. You can throw a little quick, pass to the flat, and these guys can take it to the house. They did several times. So love that. I love that they are staying relatively injury-free. Jaden Fielding has got to get better. You can't do that. I mean, doing that once or twice again, we've seen that at Ohio State. Doing it 3 times in a row, still can't believe he did that. And then I don't know if he came out of the locker room in the second half. I touched on this briefly, even though it did cost Ohio State a penalty today. I like fiery Ryan Day. I don't like when he gets 15-yard penalties, but I like it overall. He's getting on the official, and I thought rightfully so. Rightfully so. And the official just, didn't like what he heard from Coach Day and gave him the 15 yards, but I thought Coach Day was completely in the right there. So, but I like fiery Ryan Day. And that's another thing about having Chip Kelly as offensive coordinator. You can really just kind of let Coach Day do his thing and be more of a CEO. And again, most of the best head coaches in football are CEO types. Think Nick Saban. Not all, but most have their coordinators call the plays. And most head coaches are very, very partial to one side of the ball. Saban with defense, of course, Ryan Day with offense, but he's taken much more of a Saban approach this year, including getting on the officials. Saban would get on the officials way harder than that. They wouldn't have the bleep to flag him. I would love to know exactly what Coach Day said to get the flag there. Because he's not, Ryan's not like I'd be surprised if he said anything that was like super over the line. All right, Steve's going to join soon. I don't know what Pat's doing. All right, we'll hear from Steve and Pat soon. Get the latest from after press conference. I'm curious what Coach Day said about special teams, what he plans on doing about it. And you don't hear that I need to see the film. No, that's out the window. You see it right there live. That's all you need to see. And then you have the film on the sidelines if you really do want to see it. So what does he say about special teams? Is Tyleek, what I'm guessing, is it just precautionary? We can expect to see him at Michigan State next week. Looking forward to hearing my boys. Pat's jumping on right now, it sounds like. So that's good. That's good. That's good. USC, big third down here. 3rd and long, deep in their own territory. And incomplete. Almost intercepted. USC looks like garbage. They look like they just came in here thinking they were playing the Michigan that we kind of thought they were playing. The Michigans look so bad, I almost don't blame us. Michigan stepped it up, and USC looks like trash. I can't believe that wasn't intercepted. 2 Michigan guys almost intercepted that pass on 3rd down. Awful, awful, awful. So USC will punt again. Michigan dominating. Up 7-0, 10 minutes left in the second quarter, but Michigan's just dominating. Long way to go, though. Again, Michigan's offense is so limited. I still think USC is going to win this game, but geez. Inauspicious start for our friends from Los Angeles. All right, Patrick said he's getting on now. 2 minutes ago. Live podcast, my friends. James Peoples looks good. We get the best 1-2 punch that I can maybe remember at Ohio State. Archie and Pete were before my time. Quinshon and Travion at the best 1-2 punch I can remember. Patrick Murphy, how you doing, man?
I'm hot, Dave. I'm hot. It's very warm.
Yes. Hopefully we're done with 90-degree days for a while. Oh, gosh. Or till next year. That'd be nice.
Yeah, we were talking on the sideline in the fourth quarter when we came down here, and we're hoping next week in Michigan State it's a little bit cooler.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
So
And
are the Buckeyes, by the
game.
way. That came up during the press conference, how hot it was on the field. Quinshon Judkins said this was nothing, but he played in Mississippi the last 2 years.
Right.
I disagree. Right. This is hot.
He's from Alabama and he played at Mississippi. He's
right,
from the deep south. He's used to this. But let's start with special teams. What did Coach Day say about special teams? What a disaster.
Yeah, he said he didn't really get into it with Jaden Fielding, though I guess there was a clip of them on the broadcast. I didn't see that kind of talking about things. He said it can't happen, basically. You know, they want to kind of let a guy work through something like that, but also you can't keep putting the defense in a bad position. And I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that. I mean, somebody mentioned, I think online, you know, it looked like he got the yips, which I don't know. Jaden's been a good field goal kicker, or a good kickoff guy. He's been a good field goal kicker too. The first one went deep into the end zone. That's a weird situation. Something clearly the Buckeyes will have to figure out going forward. Austin Snyder came in and did a fine job, but you know, you have Jaden Fielding here for a reason. So that certainly is an issue. I know they also had the fumble that didn't end up costing them, Brandon Innes. Ryan Day wasn't asked specifically about that. I wouldn't be too concerned about that just because he's been pretty sure-handed. I did notice that Marshall was running a guy, like as he fair caught it, running a guy like right across the front. Maybe it's the soccer in me, but if teams do that to you, I would just fall down and see if you can get the penalty. Also, I'm only wearing the sunglasses so I can see the screen because it is very bright out here.
Patrick wants to see some flopping out there.
It doesn't have to be flopping. Just if they're going to play the game, you have to play it too. That's my thought.
Yeah, but with like replay, they'll just replay it and show that there was no contact.
Yeah, it's close enough. I don't know. I think it's worth a shot. If they're going to pretend to hit you or come close enough to make you flinch, play the game.
So obviously Tyleek did not play. Do we think that's precautionary? Did Coach Day address that?
He did. He said basically he's day-to-day going forward. He didn't have much of an update. Tyleek, interestingly, did not warm up, which we did see from Cody Simon and Donovan Jackson the weeks they were out. So maybe a bit more serious than those guys, but I also think those guys were injuries coming in off fall camp. We will see, because I do think they need him. Hero Kanu did not have a great game from what I saw from the press box. I think by you just missed Tyleek. I mean, I asked Jordan Hancock about him, and you know, he said, look, he's Tyleek Williams or Tyleek for a reason. So you want him in there, even if he's a little bit off. But you don't want to banged up Tyleek in one of these games, obviously.
Well, let's get you out of here. We'll get Steve Hellwagen in. Thank you, Patrick.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, let's bring in Steve Hellwagen. Steve, I'm going to start with the same thing. Special teams. What was your takeaway from special teams, and get back into what Coach Day said about special teams?
Well, I mean, Brandon has dropped a punt, and thankfully it didn't count. Technicality. Marshall had too many guys lined up in the backfield, which, you know, take that for whatever it's worth. It looked like it was probably a valid penalty, but, you know, got to field the punt. That's the problem there. And then kicking the ball off out of bounds, I'm not sure if the kicker was injured and couldn't properly finish the kick or what's going on there. I don't know. You know, you can't play special teams like that and expect to win championships. Certainly, you can't give teams 20, 30, 40 yards. You know, the Ennis play would have been, you know, giving them points, basically, if you allowed that to stand. So, you know, you can't expect to beat great teams if you're going to make mistakes like that on special teams. So there's no reason to not continue working on it. So I'm sure that's what they will try to do this week in practice.
My gosh, Quinshon Judkins is unbelievably good. We knew he was good, and Travion looks great, and Quinshon looks better than that.
Yeah, one of the longtime reporters came up to me, you know, during the game and said, Travion's great, and Quinshon may be even better. And the Quinshon play reminded me of a Maurice Claret play from his time at Warren Harding. I have I have referenced this play 1,000 times. Maurice Claret had a 90-yard touchdown run at Warren Harding, and he fought his way through the first wave of people, and then a guy tracked him down at the 10-yard line, and just like we saw with Quinshon Judkins today, he would not be denied, and that is a special cat that will not just see the ordinary running back, Dave, the ordinary running back, the guy who plays at Indiana or the guy who plays at run-of-the-mill place, Wake Forest, wherever, just a run-of-the-mill power forward running back, good player. He spits the bit on that. He gives up. He goes out of bounds at the 6. Doesn't worry about it. Not Maurice Claret and not Quinshon Judkins. He finished that thing. He fell forward and he landed in the end zone. That was an 86-yard touchdown, the third longest rushing play in OSU history, tied for third with J.T. Barrett. Morris Bradshaw had an 88-yard touchdown run against Wisconsin in 1971. Eddie George, 87-yard touchdown against Minnesota in 1995. So I've seen 3 of those plays in person. Eddie George, I was there at Minnesota in 95, my first year covering the team full-time. And then certainly the J.T. Barrett on a 14-degree day went 86 yards. And as we all remember, Urban Meyer said, "Do you see those big legs thumping going down the middle of the field?" He made fun of J.T., because he and his 5'1" 40 were running away from the Minnesota defensive backs. But, we kid, JT, we kid wherever you are today. But, what a special play. And, this team's got something to it. I mean, Dave, it was miserable here today. It was worse here today than it was against Akron because the sun just kind of bore down on you the entire day here today. And it was miserably hot. It had to be 95 to 100 down on that field. So, there's going to be mistakes. The heat, you just question in your mind, sometimes. I thought they left the guys on defense out there too long. They needed to start rolling guys. I mean, Marshall had the ball for 13 of the 15 minutes in the first quarter, so kind of makes it hard on those starters when they don't come out.
Michigan looks good. USC looks like trash. Michigan leads 14-0.
This is crazy, isn't it?
Nothing. I thought USC would. I said it wouldn't be a blowout, but I thought USC would win by double digits. Nope.
And cats in Vegas, they kept lowering that line, and people kept hammering it, and they kept lowering that line. And it's like, this is what I told people. And the Eastern time zone teams are going to find it out just the same way. When you try to go out west and play a game on a different human clock than what you're used to, and just the travel, the idea of sitting in an airplane for 5 hours to go play a game, I think they're talking about Ohio State flying out there on Friday. That's the most absurd thing I've ever heard. When they used to do these West Coast trips when they were on the quarters and didn't start school till like the 20th of September, they would fly out on Thursday. They knew. Why did they know 30 years ago that you're supposed to go out Thursday on a West Coast trip? And now they're trying to say, to save hotel money, these dumbasses who are making $1 billion off this.
Trying to save hotel money?
I presume they're trying to save hotel money is the only thing I can think of, because you can fly out Thursday night.
Right.
They want to fly out Friday is what I understand. And if you're going to do that, going East Coast to West Coast, you're going to lose on Saturday. It's just, I don't want to say you're going to lose all of them. You're going to lose a lot of them. And we're seeing USC lose one today, if in fact that's what they did. So I don't know. It's just, it doesn't make any sense to me. This national conference thing with college kids, just, it isn't right.
Well, Steve, you can get to writing if you'd like to. Appreciate you joining.
We're going to try.
What we learned live, my man. Thank you.
All right, guys, be good.
All right. Thanks to Steve. Thanks to Patrick. Thanks to J Book. Thanks to Bax. Thanks to all of you. We'll close the show now. We started the show while the game was still going on. First time in What We Learned live history that we started the show while the game was still going on, because I didn't know if the officials could make a decision within 5 minutes or not. But seriously, thanks to all my guests. Really appreciate it. Thanks to all of you. Appreciate you guys joining me. Let's see if USC can wake up here. I don't know. I'm not feeling real confident about that. But, thanks again to J-Book, Bax, Patrick Murphy, Steve Hellwagen, and thanks to all of you. Hope you all enjoy the rest of your Saturday and the rest of your weekend. Go Bucks.